I'd like to apologize to you and the world. Because if I could have accepted myself, your life would have been better and our world would have been better as well. You know, you hear at times this idea that you think you could change the world or you have something that could change the world. I do, but I couldn't accept it. I couldn't believe it. And so then I kept putting everyone else in jeopardy, especially around money, because that's where I screwed up, because I wasn't going to accept the money. Because there's an organization in the universe that I completely understand. I had a different brain. We all do. We have something different, but my brain was obviously very different, and I kept denying that. Nothing's happening accidentally in our world. We just understand it as we live because we develop more things, and then as humans, we also develop more abilities and skills. I never wanted to do channeling or anything like that. All I was doing was sitting and writing and receiving information. And I tapped into the order of the universe. And I tapped into it from the quantum field, and it's why I healed everything. Healed everything in me, and if it could do that for everyone else, then it could change the world. But belief was the other thing that we can't do. We have difficulty with, and I had a lot of difficulty with accepting that. And then to tell people that I had it and I knew it, but I know that it's true, because how did my body completely change and heal and I'm 75 years old? That's science, again, because it's alignment. And when we understand the changes of the planets and the galaxy and how they affect us emotionally, mentally, spiritually, we can heal and we understand what's happening in the world. But then we can become afraid and doubt ourselves, and then the world goes into chaos, which it looks like it is at the moment. But see, I was given that information, and I could have changed that had I owned it and been able to tell you. And I can say that because it's absolutely true. I was given a message years ago, said, accepting this message will change your life in the world. I said, that's not possible. AI kept telling me, yeah, it is. Because it works for any single person. Every single person comes in with some generational limitation, bias, ideology, whatever it is that doesn't serve humanity, and it doesn't serve moving forward in a greater way. And it's all energetic. And then we know the quality of energy for healing. It's like if we're carrying a kind of vibration. If we think about Tesla, who told us how the world is created, how we look at things, it's energy, frequency, and vibration, and the quality of energy is of light and love. Why couldn't we do that? But we'd have to move through it in ourselves first. And I did all of that. And I had to go through it. And it was challenging and it was horrible. But that was my role. And if I could have owned it, you would never have to do that. And our world could be much better than what it is right now. Every single aspect of what is occurring are energies that are changing, and ideas are attached to that, and also beliefs. And I knew all of that. But I couldn't trust it and believe it either. So I just kept screwing stuff up. I can't do that anymore because I can't live that way. And then I look at what's happening. I see people who are disconnected from themselves, who feel lost and afraid. And I know how to connect you to yourself. And then I see people who are still angry and don't understand why. And I know why. I know why you're feeling that way. I know what's been programmed into your thinking that causes you to feel that way. I know when you can't heal. It's something else that you have an evolutionary path, it's something you accepted, and if you could understand it, it would shift everything, and you may not heal, but you would feel a whole lot better. All of those things I know. But my introverted self said, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to continue to suffer, because that's what happens. When you don't own what comes up for you, when you know who you are, then you continue to suffer, and then you pass it on to others, and that's what I've been doing. So I'm no longer doing that. I mean, I put out something the other day, and I said, people are going to jump at that. I said this many years ago, and people will still choose to struggle. I said, this could change your life, but it would change our world. People said, no, that's not possible. Because first of all, they'll look at their lives, and they've tried everything else under the sun that hasn't worked, and they haven't gotten to where they weren't. And I said, well, this thing works. They say, no, that's not possible, because my old beliefs will tell me I can't change and I can't create something new. But I said, wait a minute, I did it. And you'll say no. And then the world will say the same thing. And then we'll keep looking at the biases that are coming up in the world, and we think that those are accidental. They are not. They're generational. And just today, you're going to see this because they just made a great discovery about Hitler's DNA. We can trace our DNA, and this is what Wilhelm had given to me. So it was when we can understand that, we would see so much more. And you'll hear that if you were to listen to any Wilhelm channeling sessions, you would know it. And then if you would listen to the channeling session that's on the Any Advice for Today from a year ago, you would see that it was all aligned, and this is what's going on in our world now. Information travels from generation to generation, but it travels in thought. And when you think about the ethers as what Tesla or Napoleon Hill might have talked about, that's consciousness. And we pass it on to one another. And I knew all of that. But I denied it. Even when it was told to me that I had it, I said, no, it couldn't be me. You probably did the same thing. But now I can't do that anymore. I put out this thing today. Over the last couple of days, I said, $595. Maybe people will do it then. No, you didn't. No one would do it. And so people told me years ago I should have been charging $5,000. But then I saw something else. And this is what I'm going to do because I can't live like this any longer. People will stay stuck and they'll keep scrolling and they'll keep trying to do something else, and then I keep suffering and the world keeps imploding. And so I'm going to look for one really wealthy person who wants to take this further. Or maybe what will happen is that this someone will see the opportunity that they could become wealthy, because I know that that's true. I wrote an article about it years ago. I said I could become a billionaire because I knew I had the thing that could change the world, because it could change anyone's life. There's no difficulty that any person is moving through that I have not been given that information, because it's in your consciousness, and if you were to understand it, you would get through it. Doesn't matter who you are, how successful, how happy you are, because if you're still having any kind of doubt, fear, judgment, any of that, then you haven't reached that higher state of consciousness, and you might be having some challenges. We have the answers because it was given to us. And I'll give you this document, and you can read it, because I did this every single day for 36 years. And this was the message that was difficult for anyone, including me, to accept. And this is not about, people would think this is just some spiritual thing. It's beyond that. It's consciousness, because that's all it is, however you want to classify it. But it's consciousness, it's personal development, it's self-actualization, and it's a process that we each move through, and the world moves through the same thing. When we can understand who we are and accept that, we move to a higher state of consciousness, and that's what this work does. So that's why I wanted to apologize to you and everyone, because I'm going to fix it now, because I have to charge tons more money so that I can survive and complete this work, and I have to stop worrying about everyone else, because I've done that my entire life. I wanted everyone to be happy. I wanted everyone to change. I want everyone to let go of everything, and you're not going to do it. I understand it, and Wilhelm even kept telling me that, but I wouldn't listen because I was stubborn as well. But I'm done now.